Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Ricky and I make new videos every single day, mostly doing vlogs. Today, technically I could classify as a vlog, but it's really going to be me just detailing with you guys my personal fitness journey, particularly after the coronavirus pandemic. To kind of catch you guys up, before the pandemic, I had already been suffering with body dysmorphia. I had a horrible eating disorder that was just let's just say my family was not doing anything to mitigate my experience, to put it diplomatically. I was basically on my own, and so I was adopting all of these unhealthy, unsustainable habits in terms of keeping off weight and cutting out certain food groups, but still not knowing why that made me feel better. Exploring what it's like to have a mostly plant-based diet, I realized quickly that I was actually having an allergic reaction to many food groups like fish, eggs, dairy products, tree nuts, roots, potatoes, starches, peppers, other stuff here and there. Corn is not really a good thing for my body, which sucks because I love tacos. I love like corn chips and guacamole and salsa. It's so fucking good. So I have to like be responsible and not indulge in those foods as much as I want. Anyway, before the pandemic, I was coming to terms with these. I am going to turn off the air conditioning because I was supposed to turn that off before I started filming. This is how I was before the pandemic. It was just like a ticking time bomb, honestly. However, I was at the best size I had ever been, but I don't think I could honestly say I was the healthiest I'd ever been. I definitely had put on a lot of muscle, and I had like a nice slim frame, which was new to me. I've always had like a more of a kind of like a chubby but sometimes slimmed down type of figure for most of my like high school experience, just because I was always active. And you know, I also didn't realize, along with most of you guys, of just how much working out you do in a day by just going up and doing stuff. Just going about your regular processes is really important to just even maintaining a reasonable BMI, even though the way that they measure BMI is flawed, but that's fine, that's fine. So the pandemic happened. I thought it was gonna be a few weeks. It wasn't, and soon enough, my student accommodations gym, it closed. That was literally my only way out, believe it or not, because at the early parts of the pandemic in London, you could only leave your house if you were going to do like 30 minutes of outdoor exercising or literally just go to the store. Those were your only two options. In fact, actually, I don't know if the exercise option was available that early on. It definitely came on later. A lot of the COVID restrictions, as we all know, ebbed and flowed and didn't always have a rooting in science or just general human nature. For better for worse, that's how it happened. Freaked out, all my classes were canceled, and then eventually they were put online. I went back home, and over this next 2 years, I would say two and a half years, there's a lot of instability in my life. I was traveling a lot more than ever before in my life, which was obviously adding more physical stress to my body that I wasn't really giving much attention to, because I'm like, oh, you're just going through a TSA. Like, of course you're tense a little bit, but no, like flying does take a toll on your body. Stressing out about plans, how to get to places, stresses your body. And then when you think that the entire world is going to end, you're going to die, it's not the best of times. And so during all this time, on top of all of that, I was slowly finding more and more about myself, about my family's history. For you guys who don't know, I'm adopted, and I thought it was open and transparent with information. I thought, no, it wasn't. And so I had to confront a lot of horrific stuff, really bad shit, like. And I was already dealing with the stuff that I did know was already too much. And then learning this, because it was just like, oh boy, it could have pushed me to the edge, and it almost did. I was super depressed. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I felt like a huge sense of my trust in people who beforehand, I had the utmost confidence in their morality and their love for me. And so I just had my entire world collapse. And my mom, like, I have one of my parents, they're not together anymore. One mom lives in Europe and the other one lives back in my home state of Oregon. She decided it was best for her to sell the house and move into a retirement home. So me, who doesn't have no money to my name, who doesn't have like a secure place, who's been living at my mom's house, she's like kicking me out, not because she doesn't want me, but because I don't know how to put this, because if you've met my mother, what I'm about to say to you sounds contradictory. It doesn't sound like, no, it doesn't, it doesn't sound like her. But my mother, both my parents, most people in my family are very selfish people. You know, I think some of that selfishness definitely rubbed off on me, and it's something I've been like trying to course correct, particularly the nuanced ways in which I might upset someone who I deeply love, and I just have no idea that what I did was upsetting, because that's normal where I come from. In fact, I'm considered very sensitive. I overreact. No, as I've gotten older, as I've taken part in the embetterment of myself, physically and mentally, I've learned that no, I just care about people. I'm empathetic, and I know how people deserve to be treated. I don't even know where I was with this. The point is, I was just down in the dumps. My eating got way just out of whack. I was eating way more than I should, and I was eating all the foods that I shouldn't be eating, and that kind of just, that vicious cycle started happening not too long into the pandemic, because I was just like, I can't work out, like I can't do the same stuff that I was doing before. And the, you know, dumbbell, the 10-pound dumbbell there, and the, you know, jumping jacks here, it was just like I was getting bored and I was slowing down. And so I just like surrendered, and I surrendered because I was tired, because I was depressed, and because I really didn't know when shit was gonna go back. And the thing that really motivated me to maintain my physique, how I looked, was the fact that I'm an actor. And so, you know, you want to look your best, obviously. And so when that was taken away from me, I was just like, oh, you don't have that. And that was really the main driver, one of the main drivers. Also, I want people to be attracted to me, or I want people to look at me and be like, that was pleasant. Like, you're pleasant to look at. That's what I want. Fast forward, I'm traveling across the country in this 2012 Dodge Grand Caravan that I converted into a camper van. I have a whole series of me traveling cross country over 3,500 miles documented. So if you want to check that out somewhere around here, I think will have a link at the end of this video. But during that time, I was meeting family I'd never met before, including my biological father. I was decolonizing myself, trying to figure out what that meant to me. It essentially meant find your truth, and you know, that hence the truth will set you free. Very, very true for me. Another thing that's been very true for me is, you know how like growing up, at least I hope this has been the case when you guys were growing up, knowledge is power. Knowledge is power, but I never thought of it in the context of general knowledge or knowledge about the functions of the world in a really gray way. Like, I always thought of knowledge of like, oh, if you are really good at algebra, math, like that's the type of knowledge. Or like if you're really good at memorizing things, that's considered knowledge. But as I've gotten outside of the US lexicon, as I've gotten outside of my own background and my own upbringing in terms of how I was raised, it's not true. Like you can live a rich and fulfilling life by using that phrase, like knowledge is power. But it's, you get that knowledge through other stuff, and that's how the power comes. It's just, I don't know, I'm probably the worst person to be explaining this. This is all obviously coming like right out of my head, and I just got out of the gym after drinking a lot of caffeine, which I know I said I know I said I wasn't going to be drinking any more caffeine. The allergies is still not bad. Well, okay, the allergies are still bad, and I've made a connection. My room, my flat, is never going to get a break from it because there's these big old trees next to my air conditioner, and so it just brings in all of that pollen right onto my face through the fan when I'm sleeping. Let's get back to what I was saying. So my fitness journey, I've been taking it really seriously for the past 9 months to a year. I've been going to the gym, if not every other day, every few days. And for the past few weeks now, I've been going to the gym every single day, ranging from at least an hour to 3 hours. And I just want to keep this momentum going because I've never felt so secure in myself in terms of my identity, just who I am as a person. I've always been insecure. That was not a good person. And a lot of those insecurities have subsided because of me coming in contact with more knowledge, me deprogramming myself, and me really having a solid sense of identity. So I've been using this momentum to keep on pushing me forward, and I've completely cut out all the toxic, unhealthy foods, which unfortunately for most people, not all these unhealthy foods I imply about are actually unhealthy, but for me, my body's just like, we're under attack. I wanted to make this video because as I was at the gym earlier today, and when I was going to and from the gym, actually, I should say, I've been noticing people checking me out. Like, nothing too spectacular, but I've just been noticing, like, people are looking. It's not new to me to have people look at me, kind of, but, like, I had never experienced that from starting off at such a low point where physically and mentally I was just very unhealthy. Even though I was big, I was making myself small, if that makes sense. And now that I'm a big guy. But now that I'm small, I'm making myself big. It's a little bit of adjustment because I actually didn't realize how shallow people actually are. I personally do my best to separate people's persona from how they look on the outside. Not saying I'm gonna want to just any random person, ugly person. No, obviously there needs to be a level of attractiveness, right? But what I'm meaning is I can be attracted to someone and also not think that they are the most attractive person I've been with. Does that make sense? It's something I've become obviously more aware about, and I'm hoping to kind of harness that ability. I hope to harness that new attention and growing attention as I continue in my fitness journey to my benefit. You guys gonna hold me accountable, so I will say it. My goal is to have a 6-pack by the end of this summer. That's a lot, but we can do it because of what we've accomplished so far. So I hope you guys hold me to it, because I'm definitely gonna hold myself accountable. And yeah, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, and I will see you in the next video. All right, peace, love you guys, bye.